When you're working with a writer, can you explain how you reverse engineer their path forward?
So in some situations, I like to think about where I want to be, and I start there, and then I walk backwards. So you're thinking, what kind of producer or director or actor is you like to collaborate with? What are your references to other movies that are in this space? So you might be thinking the expectation of the fans of a genre. You might be thinking the scope of a movie. For example, there are horror films that are made for $100,000. Some of them are made for a few million. And then there's bigger budget ones that are mid-range, which are in a whole other category. So I want to know, what model are we working in? The last thing you'd want to do is get a script that's unproducible, where the budget's just too big for the genre typically, and it's not going to work. You want to be able to have a general sense of, in a perfect scenario, who's on board to produce it, direct it, act in it, finance it. Is it from private financiers? Is it from a studio? Or is it streamer going to back it? Like, get a general sense. I mean, obviously these things can be flexible. So I'm not saying being stuck on it, but knowing what you're fulfilling a demand. You're not creating a demand. And I think that's important. So on this kind of knowing where you fit in. Another part you also want to think about is, what is it about this concept that makes it unique? Now, I don't mean like making something that's so like esoteric and weird that it's unique because it's just strange. I mean, like, if we've seen a certain kind of bank heist film, what is it about it that's familiar, and what about it is a new way in? And I could talk about tonally, conceptually, the type of characters are in it, the plot. There's all sorts of room to make it new. So it's that balancing act. And if there's not enough unique elements in the story, my worry sometimes is, who's going to want it? It just feels kind of what's out there, and that's a problem. You're going to put all that work into writing it, yet there's 10 other movies like it that just came out. So ideally, I want to know the business model. Like, how does this work? Who would want to be part of this collaboration potentially? And then on a creative level, what makes this special? And once we've achieved that and we know there's space, then it works. Like, I kind of look at, like, there's a big whiteboard, okay? And the board has things already on it, like marked it up. But there's a space on that board where your movie or TV show fits in. And the key is making sure the ideas feel like there's some room for it. It's not redundant, and it's not tenable in the business model. So that really affects how I think about potential concepts to pursue developing into scripts.
Have you ever had a client or potential client say, are you going to make this my career? Like, if I work with you and sign with you, can I be guaranteed by within this amount of time, this will be my career? I'll be a working screenwriter, podcaster, producer.
No. I have never experienced that approach. I mean, I'm sure some people have it, and it's fine. But typically, I'm dealing with somebody who understands the complexities of the industry.
So someone who would ask those questions, that's a newbie, that's an amateur.
I don't know. I mean, that individual has the right to ask any questions to a potential manager. I haven't encountered that. And I don't know if that means they're a newbie. I mean, anybody could, address their concerns or their ambition with the reps that they want to bring in to their team. That's totally fine. But I just haven't encountered somebody who would put that on the table.
Would you say a lot of writers naturally think this way in terms of reverse engineering their path So maybe they don't know how things are going to turn out for them, but they want to try to see, okay, this is where I want to be. This is the level I want to be working at with these type of players. Now, how do I get there?
I think every client has their own approach. I think as a manager, you want to think about how a project can go on a journey to it becomes a very high quality experience once it's produced, that it's successful not just because it got made critically and it has an incredible return on the investment of who buys into it. That's important to me, and I can't lose sight of the business when I look at any project, any ideas that we just start discussing. Now, will writer have the mindset to reverse engineer their script? Maybe not. Maybe there's a theme they want to explore, and that's totally fine. I don't think there's one way to bring something to life. I think that whatever they're prioritizing in the inception of the idea and then how it develops. So it's all across the board.
What do you say to the writer who says, I just do writing, I don't do anything else? I know my story is going to resonate. There's an emotional connection with the protagonist. Find someone else to produce it and market it and do all the heavy lifting. But I just wrote it and that's all I need to do.
Well, that's fine. There's plenty of producers out there who love collaborating with great writers. I mean, it's a personal choice if somebody wants to be a hyphenate. It's something that if that's what matters to them, then they should make that their focus. If a client just wants to write scripts, that should be their focus. I don't want to do anything but manage and produce. I don't want to do any other capacity in this industry, and that's my choice. So I don't expect a writer to have to act in it or direct it or produce or do anything beyond sitting down and, working on developing new material.
So you wouldn't be opposed to that if you had a potential client that said, I have things that I write, I know they're excellent, that's all I do. I don't do windows. I just write. That's all I do.
I mean, that's totally fine. I don't value that type of client more or less than somebody who wants to take on additional, responsibilities.
Do you think it shows an attitude of being inflexible, or they just do one thing and they don't want to dilute what they do?
I don't see any inflexibility at all. There's an entire union, the WGA, that protects writers because this is a community that in a lot of ways, they're like this, they build so much incredible, stories, and they are part of this industry in the most meaningful way. There's no reason why a writer has to direct. It's a choice. My brother is a writer who ultimately, that's what got him into the game, and now he's directing, and then he's also producing, and he does that. And I have friends who are actors who are also writers. I mean, in the same way, me, as a manager, like there's something compelling about working with incredible storytellers, and that is my passion. And that's why every day I get up and look forward to the next, project and the next pitch, or it keeps me moving. That's that energy that I get from my work because it's so well suited for me. In the same way, a writer, if that process excites them, there's no reason to do anything else.
So you can respect that. Someone who knows what they're great at and they know where their skills lie, and they're not going to deviate from that just so that they can get a project moved along. Or you're okay with people being, as you say, a multi-hyphenate.
Yeah, I mean, it's a spectrum. I mean, there's people who do everything, and it's just incredible what they have so many hats. But it's not for everybody. And I totally respect that. I don't look at it negatively if somebody really wants to just be a writer, because it's hard to have that as their singular focus. So that doesn't mean that it's that much easier. That comes with a lot of challenges to be successful. So there's no expectation that somebody has to direct. And it doesn't also mean that if you're just a writer, you're not being pragmatic. Because if you write incredible work, you might find a director that you love working with, and now you have a partner. And that director might not want to write. So that's like a perfect fit.
What are those challenges? You said there are challenges that come with being successful.
Well, you start with a blank page. That's hard. You know, you have to build a reality out of nothing. And there might be an incredible director who doesn't want to write a script, but you see their music videos or their short films and you think they have the right tone. So then you go, why don't we work together? You don't want to write, you just want to direct. And my passion is writing scripts. And then you team up and you make something really exciting.
So you want your client or potential clients to be comfortable in what they do and their skill set, and you don't try to push them to do more if that's not within them.
It's just what they're passionate about. I have clients that create IP and they love writing comics or making podcasts. That's all they want to do. They don't want to write scripts. And that's fine, because they're making something that really emotionally moved me. I don't need anything beyond what they already do. They're already successful. Being able to make, pieces of like art that are meaningful to their audience, and they get excited about them, and that's hard. That's not easy. So changing them into hyphenites is really just about their own personal interests. And I can empower somebody who wants to expand new responsibilities and support that. But at the same time, it has to be a natural progression of what they want to do.